What is going on, guys? How are you? Welcome back to the channel and to another video. Today we're going to be taking a look at one of the more memorable pieces to come from San Martin in the last couple of years. They've been churning out models like crazy in the last few months, and I've always believed that something like this has its benefits. On one side, it's really good because you have a lot of options and you have a lot of models to pick from. But on the other side, it's really hard to keep up with the sheer volume of different designs, and you have an older version of a newer release that has some sort of improvements and you're kind of stuck with the old one. One model that I believe stayed and it solidified its position is probably the best that they make to date is the SN016 GMT. This is a homage to a Rolex GMT Master 2 with the Pepsi Bezel, and I believe that this is absolutely gorgeous. This is their second attempt at this and it's done absolutely right. There are a few things to take in consideration here if I ever do decide to pull the trigger on one of these, and I'll try to highlight these as I'm going through the review. But so far, from my experience, this has been absolutely solid. I should mention that I bought this watch from San Martin and they gave me a bit of a discount. So to be on the safe side, you might have seen the pay promotion tag in the corner of the screen. I'll leave some links down below if you want to check them out. This is one of the 2 San Martin GMT reviews that I have lined up, so be sure to subscribe to the channel if you don't want to miss them. Now let's take a proper look at this. Depending on what stage you're at in your collection, I do believe that a GMT is a must. There are a few quartz options at this price point and even lower that are worth considering, but I'm a big fan of an auto GMT, and it's just something different about one of those. On AliExpress, this is advertised for $480 or so, but once you add this to the cart and go to the checkout with all the discounts applied, you're able to get this for around $400-ish delivered. It might drop even lower during the big sales. Now that might sound like a lot of money for something like this, but you're getting a lot of watch for that. Dimensions wise, this from what I could see is very similar to the watch that is paying homage to. Diameter of 40.5 millimeters on the case and 40.9 on the overhanging bezel. You have a lug to lug of 48 millimeters on the case. You have a thickness of 13.5 and a lug width of 20 millimeters. These are dimensions that would suit any wrist size. I had no problems rocking this and it looked absolutely perfect on my 6.3 inch wrist. Now that being said, I think that the impact that the original had on the watch industry made sure that those proportions on something like this are loved by everyone. My wrist is no different and it looks pretty damn sweet, I have to say. The case finishing is absolutely gorgeous and very well executed, polished on the sides and is brushed on the top of the lugs. Now, as unoriginal as they are with their designs, San Martin are extremely consistent with their finishing regardless of the price point, and they have been throughout the years. This is nothing new, and this is something that I will mention in every single video because consistency, in my opinion, is just a sign of a good brand. Now, screw down crown at the 3 o'clock for the 200 meter stated water resistance, and here we have one of the 3 matching hexagon logos engraved. Now, this solves an older problem with the conflicting logos, and it does prove that somehow they do actually listen. The bezel on this is bidirectional, 24 clicks with the Pepsi ceramic insert, and it's so well executed. The clicks are precise and they have a very satisfying sound. I want to point out a couple of things here which I believe make this a very good deal for around $350 after all the discount or whatever it is. Now, one would be the fact that the ceramic insert, from what I heard, costs a bit more to produce in order to fuse the 2 colors together. Now, in case you missed my video where I review the Sug S GMT, I'll leave a video in the corner of the screen a link to that video. Now that also has a Pepsi bezel. The red on that was way off and looked more like a cherry purple red, and I believe that part was actually probably aluminium. And number two, on the same watch, the clicks weren't as precise and was more like a sliding action, and you needed to align the bezel to put it into place as opposed to it falling exactly where it should. Maybe that's not a big deal when you think about it, but that watch was $450 without any discounts available, and those were features that were on all models. Moving on to the dial. This, with these homages, needs a little to no introduction, and I suppose the focus here is on execution, and it depends how you look at it, as in, is it meant to resemble the original or is it well made in this case? Well, it's both. It's covered by a slightly raised piece of sapphire crystal with a cyclops at the 3, which does a great job at magnifying the date. One quick side note here, certain AliExpress shops will sell you this with or without a cyclops in case you have any preference. Some people have a preference, I personally do not, but it's good to note that the option is there. The indices are well aligned and beautifully finished, and as a more distinctive feature, you have at the 12 the applied Saint Martin logo. Now, judging purely on execution, this thing looks very, very well made, even under closer shots. The lume is something that we'll touch on quick because they rarely disappoint. BGW9, including the bezel insert, the application is spot on and it lasts and it really, really stands out. I mean, the lume insert is just something else. I've never had one that disappointed from Saint Martin, and the only thing I would add here that, again, despite whatever people say about the brand, this is another good sign of consistency. Powering this, you have the Hangzhou 6460 GMT movement, which is a familiar sight and it's widely used by a lot of brands, especially in this style of watches. It's a decent movement. Essentially, this is a clone of the ETA 2836. From my experience, I've never had any issues with these, but then again, I've never had one longer than a year to fully get an idea how good these things are. I mean, you could always swap it if it ever breaks. I'm not sure you can find anyone to service this or repair it. One thing that I would add here is that the NH34 is quite common and more brands are starting to use it. So I would love to see that powering this in the near future. Also, I actually think that that would make the watch a bit more desirable and probably drop the price or drive the price down, because the NH34 now is widely used and it's more available. Also, if you're looking to keep up with the times, I think that you need to adapt, which I think should be something that Ali brands like Saint Martin that have a high watch churn like this should consider. Last thing to cover here is the bracelet. 20mm lug width Jubilee with a fold over clasp with the Saint Martin hexagonal logo stamped, double pushes to release, and once again the consistency shows and the quality shines. It might sound again like I'm singing their praise a bit, but it's known at this stage that Saint Martin probably do bracelets better than everything else. The finishing is great and it's not rattly at all or too flexible at the point that it feels cheap. Now honestly, I really don't feel like there are any negatives to this point, and regarding the actual bracelet, there is nothing bad that I want to say. Something that I really want to see is that, but this is more like a feedback, is for them to incorporate some sort of on-the-fly adjustment, which really take their game to the next level. I mean, we all know that they're really good at doing this, but I think they're kind of stuck in the same loop and they haven't evolved to show what they actually can do, show the real potential. To draw the line here, guys, I feel that when it comes to one-to-one homages, Saint Martin are amongst the best. There is no point ignoring the elephant in the room here. The only competitor outside the AliExpress market for this would be Steinhardt, because I feel that in terms of quality and finishing, they are very close, probably Saint Martin being better in some departments than others. But personally, after owning so many homages at this stage, I feel that with Saint Martin, there would always be that honeymoon period And after that, you totally lose interest. This, as good as it was, fell victim to the same kind of feeling for me. Another thing I would like to see from them is a proper GMT movement like the NH34 that I mentioned, or an ETA. But would you pay extra for the ETA, let's say, or would you be happy to see the NH34? Let me know in the comment section down below. That was it from me, guys. I hope you enjoyed my review for the San Martin GMT. Let me know again in the comment section down below what you think about this watch. Thank you very much for watching. Click a like, subscribe to the channel if you haven't so, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.